What is up, everybody? Svenddiesel here. We're going to be tying up a creeper worm. This is using a material from FNF. It's called Creeper Chenille. I've really liked it, played around with it quite a bit, and I'm really stoked to fish these as a worm imitation. So we've got an Ahrex hook in the vise. This is a TP610. We're using some Semperfli. This is an 8/0 wax thread. I think it gives a little bit extra grip. It's a really great thread, and I'm tying it using a color of red. This is a size 2 hook. I probably will fish these in 1s to 4s just because of the size of the chenille, and typically I'm fishing a little bit of a bigger worm pattern. And this is the unweighted version, of course, and so make sure you lay down a nice little thread base there all the way to the bend and cut out your tag end. Now for this is the Marshmello pink is the color. They also offer a red and a peach, and to me these are just worm. I've been using them for tails, but I figured why not just make an entire worm out of this. Kind of the leech pooping worm is what I've been doing, but we've all done it with chenille. This is just a new material, so nothing new here, but I'm going to go ahead and tie in a small little piece of this, just making sure I secure that cord. I'm going to trap down any excess rubber fibers that are sticking up just to make it a little easier to tie the fly. I'll advance my thread up. Now I'm going to measure out the tail, and I haven't figured out how to do this easily without cutting the chenille, and I'm going to waste a little bit there. But I roughly measured it, and then I'm going to pinch the end here in my finger and just kind of twist it. And you want to make sure you hold it straight, and I'm holding it towards me right now, and I'm just twisting it between my two fingers, making sure that it doesn't unravel. And you could put on a clip and twist this. There's a variety of different ways, but I just hurried and quickly twisted in my thumbs here for about 10-15 seconds, and then I'm going to pinch this at where I want the end of the tail to be, and then I'll kind of just like let the two different fibers, I want a little bit longer, and I'm going to let the two fibers just kind of furl, I think is the word, onto themselves. So they're twisting together using that tension. You can see there, I'm going to pinch it here, go ahead and tie it off, and then those two, well, it's one strand of chenille, but it's wrapped over itself, twisted together, and it's going to make for a really, really flowy, wobbly tail, and it's durable because we've doubled it over. I don't necessarily think it's too bulky because when you twist it, it kind of tightens up that material, but you can see right there, there is the rear section of our worm. I'm going to take my, the package of the material now, and I'll go ahead and tie that in, advance my thread up to right behind the eye, and I'll go ahead and do a single turn whip finish, or you could half hitch it just so we can use the rotary function of our vise, and I'll go ahead and just get that secure. I'll bring around my little bobbin rest here, and then all we're going to do is lay down a little bit of super glue along this shank just to make sure it's a little bit durable here. I'm just using some Z cement by Wapsi. It's one of the ones advertised as being waterproof, I believe, but it's a brush-on formula, and I just kind of hit my thread wrap so that as we palmer this around, it's just going to bond that thread to this FNF material, and then also to the hook shank. And so just make sure that you are not seeing so much of the red, and that's another key indicator that, if you're seeing red wraps right now, you're not wrapping tight enough. But maybe the fish might like that. You never know. And so I'm just going to palmer that all the way up. I'll take my thread off, and I'll go ahead and tie that off with a behind wrap, get my bobbin rest out of the way, and then I'll do a couple wraps in front of it. I'll go ahead and wrap up and over it again to trap that material. I like to do it twice, and then we'll go ahead and just trim that out. And if you want, you can just go ahead and whip finish as is. I'm going to pull away some of these, I call them buggery rubber legs, because they're kind of in my way to finish this fly and make it a really clean head, but you don't have to do that. You can go ahead and leave them, and then I'll just pull everything back, build up a little thread dam, so we're kind of pinching our previous wraps, and then I'll just build up a nice little red head. I want to play around with a few different colors of this, like making a hot head orange, or there's a variety of different ways you can tie your worm patterns. Basically, using this new material, I'm going to be applying it to a lot of my older patterns, doing an ice dub little collar here, putting a tungsten bead on here. I'll probably tie some up in a jig form, but basically the key here is showing how to make that tail using the FNF material by twisting it on itself, And then once you get the fly with a double whip finish, I'm going to go ahead and like most of my heads that are thread, I'm going to apply a little bit of Solarez. This is their bone dry. It just helps. You could use a head cement or Sally Hansen's clear UV, or there's so many different options to finish your head. I just like using this UV because I'm able to cure it up right now and it's good to go. I don't have to wait for the head cement to dry or anything. I can just take it, throw it to the side, and don't have to worry about materials, because my desk isn't super clean sticking to it. And I really want to make it a nice head on here. You can see how this thin resin absorbs into the thread. So if I want to get a nice clear, clean head, I'm going to do 2 coats. And the first coat seems to absorb into the thread pretty good. But that is the Creeper worm. Pretty easy. Brush it out. Try to get some of those trap fibers. Make sure you don't use a stainless steel wire brush. I like these nylon because that core material, I don't know what this is. It seems almost like an eggy, flowy material. I don't think it does very well with the stainless. And then since for this size of hook, I'm going to just trim these rubber legs down just a little bit. Interesting note about this material, and I haven't tried this, but the company who makes it says that this will absorb floatant very well. So if you wanted to kind of have it right up really high on the column, this is unweighted, so it's not going to get down. But they've also been experimenting with scenting it. I usually just fish it as is, and hopefully this will be eye candy for a few trout, potentially bass, maybe even some carp. So really quick tie, super easy. It's unweighted, super buggy. So go ahead and tie some up. Make sure you click subscribe and leave a comment if you got any questions or advice. Thanks for watching.